Hello world, welcome to my first video of 2025. Naturally, since it's my first video of the new year, I must review something that's basically 20 years old at this point. Any of you remember seeing it, that crazy fad in the mid-2000s that mostly focused on this concept of a DVD board game? I personally never grew up in this era, but it seemed interesting, and I even own a scene of my own. Well, this right here, simply called the WWE DVD Board Game, was WWE's attempt to cash in on that fad. Why this fad, out of all things, I genuinely have no idea, but it was their choice, and they made 3 editions of this game, so for this video, I'll be focusing on only the 2nd edition, as I don't own the other editions, so therefore I don't really know what their rules are, and I don't really care to try and find their rules, especially because the company who made these board games, Specialty Board Games Inc., I can find hardly any information on. According to Board Game Geeks, they really only made these WWE DVD board games, some other DVD board games, and a metric crap ton of CSI games for whatever reason. They also made some weird stuff in between, ranging from I have absolutely no idea what is going on here, okay, and Nancy Drew. So yeah, I'm only gonna focus on the 2nd edition because it's what I own, and it was also featured in this commercial that I'll now play for your glorious eyeballs. And if there's a cut in the video, it's because I got copyrighted. Here you go.
Bring the full WWE experience to life with the WWE DVD Board Game, 2nd edition.
What are you waiting for? Get in here.
It's a new game with new rules, loaded with cool WWE footage and trivia. Take control backstage and in-ring in a no-holds-barred contest to manage the best roster of superstars and legends. Own the game everyone is playing. The WWE DVD Board Game, 2nd edition, available now.
I love playing games.
Wasn't that just the greatest commercial of all time? That really wanted to make you buy the game, huh? Oh god. Alright, enough of that chit-chat. Let's actually dive into the contents of the game. When you open it up, you get the board, 4 manager pawns, wrestler cards, WWE shop cards, chaos cards, and a place to put all of the punch-out WWE championships. First, let's take a look at the board. Now, I know what you're thinking. And yeah, you're definitely right. This game copies, or rather borrows, a few elements from Monopoly. For starters, just look at the board. There are 4 corners that do things. Every time you land on something, it does something. It's not just a nothing space. And most importantly of all, this game comes with money! Honestly, though, that kind of makes sense that WWE would go for a style like this, considering in this game, you're playing as general managers, and your object is to try and beat out the other opponent by winning more titles or having more assets than them once the time limit is over, if you want to put on a time limit. Borrowing some things from Monopoly without outright saying it to avoid copyright, it just makes sense. Does this mean this game is as tedious as Monopoly? I'll save that verdict for later. There was one component I neglected to mention, and that's, well, one of the main components. As this is a DVD board game, of course, it comes with a DVD. Now, apologies if the content of this DVD is going to look a little choppy on the screen, as inserting this into my PS5 is probably not the smartest thing to do. This DVD wasn't made with HD TVs in mind, as this game came out as early as 2005 and as late as maybe 2007 for the 3rd edition, and WWE didn't start fiddling with HD content until 2008, so yeah, this is just what you're gonna have to deal with. It's still watchable though, just probably not looking how it should. While I'm on it, I'm gonna real quick explain what the DVD does, and then we'll get back to the main contents of the board. For starters, the DVD has a demo mode. This and every content on this DVD features Jerry the King Lawler as the narrator. For the demo, he quickly goes over the rules of the game and what the DVD is used for, but since I'm making the YouTube video here, Jerry, we're not gonna hear you do this. I'm doing this. Go away. Shoo. When you start up a game, it starts a submenu of various modes that you have for the DVD. Now, you may be wondering what all of these do, but in short, these are just supplied with enough content for a full game. Each different mode has each different questions and things that the DVD will be needed for stored in it. This is to increase the replay value so you don't go through the same trivia questions and other things every single time that you play the game. Now, yes, there is is a finite amount, and that may be an issue, especially because this is a DVD. This isn't like, I don't know, the internet or something. But if you put the game away for a few months and not think about it and then come back, you probably won't remember what the questions are and things like that, so you should be fine as long as you don't play the game too often. After you pick a mode, you are given two options, and these two options correlate with what's on the board. Either a solo option that you answer yourself, or a group option that your entire group tries to answer. You do these whenever you land on the corresponding space on the board. If you get the questions, puzzles, etc. right, you get some money, and if you get it wrong, in a group's case, you just get it wrong. In a solo case, you will be punished. It's also worth noting for the solo challenge that sometimes if you click the button, there is a random chance that you will just get penalized, and thus in that instance you just follow it and then end your turn. Last thing the DVD is used for is for when you land on one of the 4 pay-per-view squares, which funnily enough correspond with the big 4 pay-per-views. That's actually pretty clever. When you land on one of these squares, you take your active superstar and challenge for a title. If the title is vacant, you do a solo challenge, and if you get the question right, you get to win the title. If the title has a title holder, you challenge them to a match, and if you win, you not only get the title, but you get the title's bonus that's listed on it. You can also participate in title matches by challenging their active superstar if they have a title to a match on the Raw or SmackDown space. We'll get to how actual matches work later. Since Wednesday and Saturday don't really have wrestling shows, these places are used for chaos cards. Chaos cards are essentially this game's chance cards. It'll either help you or harm you. Some can be saved for later and used for matches, while others you gotta use immediately. However, one of these Saturday spaces is replaced by Saturday night's main event. See, this game actually takes one of the house rules from Monopoly and incorporates it into the game. At the start of the game, $50,000 is at the center of the board, and this is known as the WWE Vault. If you get fined via a chaos card or one of the DVD penalties, you take that cash and you put it in the center of the board at the vault. And if you land on the Saturday night's main event space, you collect all of the cash that has been accumulated at the center of the board. This is especially great if you're about to go bankrupt, which in this game isn't actually a death sentence. In Monopoly, that's your lose condition. In this game, you simply sell your superstar cards to get back cash, and on your turn, you essentially hope to roll for chaos cards or DVD challenges so you can get cash back enough to buy more superstars. It's Monopoly with a comeback mechanic. Like, the main thing that Monopoly is criticized for, this game actually has. Wait a minute. Now, would this mechanic work in actual Monopoly? Well, no, obviously. But the fact it's there is proof of good game design. Maybe this game actually isn't that much of a cash grab. Well, in order to determine that, we have to take a look at one more mechanic I've been neglecting to mention: the matches. At the start of the game, the superstar deck is shuffled and you get 2 superstar cards for free. If you want more, you draw a superstar from the superstar deck before you roll the die. And if you want the superstar, you pay for him. The more powerful the superstar, the more he costs, so be careful about that. There are also women in this game, and the women actually have a unique mechanic of being a valet, which, oh my god, is like the most 2006 thing ever. Basically, with women, you have 1 or 2 options. Either 1, you make them an active superstar and go after the women's title, or 2, while they're in the reserve spot and your active wrestler is about to lose, you can use them as a valet to save them and give them a second chance in the match. Doing this, though, will sacrifice her, however, and she will be returned to the superstar deck after you do this. That's kinda... Wow, okay. The last thing to mention about the superstar cards is, for one thing, they have a weight type, either a heavyweight or a cruiserweight. This weight type is to help distinguish on whether or not if you want to go after the heavyweight titles or the cruiserweight title on SmackDown. Typically, what you want to do is have the women on Raw and the cruiserweights on SmackDown because those titles correlate with those brands. Each superstar also has a salary that you have to pay if you pass the WrestleMania spot. Key word is if you pass. If you land on WrestleMania, WrestleMania, you don't have to pay their salaries. I guess that's that WrestleMania luck. And as for how the actual matches work, finally we're there. You use your active superstar to challenge your opponent's active superstar to a match. If they have a title, it becomes a title match unless they play the non-title match card. In the matches, you have rounds, and the object of each round is to remove one die from your opponent by outscoring them with rolling the dice. You remove all of their dice and you win. You can also help yourself in these matches by playing some WWE Shop or Chaos cards that you have kept away, and these give you advantages such as a finishing move that just ends the match right away, a reversal to potentially counter your opponent's finishing move, a card that may let you cheat in a match depending on if you roll good, as well as many other cards that I've neglected to mention. This is surprisingly deep for what is basically considered a party board game, and your opponent's punishment for losing is they must pay the salary listed on your active superstar's superstar card. And to just reiterate, because I don't think I did a good job in the intro bits, the way you win is to either get all 4 titles of one brand, 2 from each brand, or having the most assets at the end of the time limit if you choose to do a time limit for this game. And after explaining all of those rules and probably leaving some out, this leaves the question, is this game fun? Well, to sum it up, the one time me and my friend played this game, we left actually wanting to play it again. Something that we did not expect when going into this. I genuinely thought when going into this game that this was going to be a complete shit show and this was just going to be a horrible experience from top to bottom. But I left thoroughly entertained and shocked. It's actually stupidly addicting. It takes elements from Monopoly and actually makes them better, like having a comeback mechanic, as well as a time limit if you don't want the game to last too long. Now, was this some sort of Dungeons and Dragons experience or anything like that? Hell no. Furthest away from that. Absolutely not. Those type of people who hate dice in any sort of tabletop game would absolutely despise this game. Probably, anyway. But if you're a fan of wrestling and know a lot about the Ruthless Aggression era and back, and you want to get your hands on a WWE game to have some fun for a game night or something, if you can find this, I'd recommend picking it up. Not horribly expensive on eBay, although the second edition from what I've seen is the slightly more expensive option, probably because it's the best version of the game. But overall, this actually felt like a WWE game and not some board game asset that was reskinned for WWE. I definitely like for them to try something like this again in the future, although not use the DVD format, that's pretty dated. But they proved that they could get into this type of thing and actually succeed, so maybe someday we could see another tabletop WWE game in the future. But yeah, that's gonna do it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you later. Peace.